to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth here at the Baltimore Book Festival 2011 with Professor Spence. How are you, sir?
Coach chillin', man. How are you?
Professor Lester Spence, Johns Hopkins University. Any thoughts on what happened with the citywide election?
So
you predicted it earlier.
Yeah. You know what? I really wish that there was a way we could have moved the central issue off of something like the property tax, which almost by definition will ensure low turnout, to something more substantive. But that's kind of sort of where we are right now.
Something like what?
Like building a youth prison within the boundaries of the city, like unemployment, like rampant poverty. You know, granted, some of these issues aren't issues that the mayor has direct control over, but some of these issues are issues that the mayor can't speak to, right? And the city council persons as well. So that's the type of thing that I think, those are the type of conversations we really need to have to ensure like really vibrant turnout, but also to ensure that our politics really reflects how we need to live.
Do you expect any change in her administration from what she's already presented over the past year?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. How's this president doing? President Barack Obama?
He's not doing well, but it's possible he'll do better. Because once he starts making that turn, once he makes the turn, once he starts attacking the notion of class warfare, it's not class warfare, it's math. If he can continue doing that, if he can continue really driving home the fact that the ideology of conservatives and the Republican Party is bankrupt. It's bankrupt morally, it's bankrupt economically, and it's bankrupt politically. If he can drive that home, not only will he win the election, but more importantly, we'll start to see the change that he called for us to make when he was elected in the first place.
Okay. African Americans have been heavily critical in some places of this president. What ought African Americans remember? And I would preface it, if you will, with this president coming in after 8 years of a George Bush.
Well, it's not African Americans who've been critical. It's some African Americans, right? So people like me, people like Tavis Smiley, Cornel West, some other intellectuals. For the most part, African American support for the president is still strong, but it's dropped. It's dropped. Even among African Americans, it's dropped tremendously. So what I would suggest, and you're asking like about voters, so when you say thinking about, so what I would suggest people to do is vote for Obama to the extent they can, get other people to vote, but really think about ways they can organize on the local level. Like, so right. So maybe if you were planning to give $5 to the Obama campaign, instead of giving the money to Obama, give money to a local progressive candidate who's fighting for your interests, or give money to a candidate in another state who needs your help, right? So for example, with Troy Davis, is what I'd like to see as a result of the Troy Davis execution is people really aggressively mobilize in Georgia. And we can help with that. Even though we don't necessarily vote in Georgia, we can give money to Georgia candidates. So that's the type of thing I'd like to see African Americans do and to think about, right? Not just the guy on the top of the ticket, but a whole set of political decisions that are being made at the state level, the county level, and the local level that we can make change.
Well, aren't African Americans confused, considering that when we put our support behind Democrats statewide, many question what the return on that investment is?
Well, they're not confused. Black people are actually more politically sophisticated than any other population you can identify. What it is they're between a rock and a hard place, both nationally and locally, right? So the local argument you just talked about, as far as black people supporting a party that doesn't give them much in return, that's the national level, right? We just voted for a president who has done something for us, much more than his counterpart, but he hasn't dealt with our need. He hasn't dealt with our need to the degree he should have. So we're between a rock and a hard place, and that's where we've always been. But I believe in the capacity of black people.
But this is 2011. I mean, is anything going to change, Professor?
When you say anything's going to change, what do you mean?
In the sense of African American progress. I mean, it seems as if the last progress made was integration.
And so you're telling me this.
I'm asking.
No. You're telling me this as you're videotaping me with a device that you have created your own little media hub. Is that what you're telling me? That there's been no progress since integration? Even though you're taping me for a show, I'm a professor at Johns Hopkins, and you've got your own media hub, but I don't know how many listeners and watchers. That's what you're telling me?
Technological doesn't equate with actual.
Of course it does. It's not the same thing, but you're not living like you would be living if it's 63. I know you're not.
Well, when you consider black businesses that were once vibrant in the 60s, and then many of us, there came the urban flight.
Yeah.
We were able to move into we were able to move into the Randallstown, to Owens Mills, to Woodlawn.
Yeah.
We were able to move into those areas, and as a result, we started forsaking the corner stores, the cobbler.
So this is what our challenge is, right? So another way to talk about this is to say there has been change, but in some ways we still got work to do. So the work we have to do in this particular stage is to take all these disparate pieces that really reflect African American strength in political areas and economic areas and cultural areas and technological areas, and really begin to institutionalize this in a new way.
That will require leadership.
No. No, I actually don't. My leaders are like these guys.
I would agree. My heroes are my children.
Yeah, well, it's not just about them being my heroes. It's like wherever they go, I gotta follow them.
Okay, but yet Joe Blow politician can come on the radio and endorse this person and that person, even if that person or their camp has been historically against the African American community. I look at Randallstown. Do African Americans, which heavily populate Woodlawn and Pikesville, get a fair share of the pie of Baltimore County?
No, not at all. And I live in Pikesville now, so I know about that. You're absolutely right. What I'd say is, leadership would be a good thing, but it's not like we need people at the top telling us how to do this. What we need to do is, did you need a leader telling you how to run this? Did you have a leader telling you how to do this?
I had teachers, had mentors.
But that's different. You did this on your own.
Absolutely.
Right, so, and I'm not using that to say, for example, that we don't need government I'm saying that we have the capacity to get what we need. We have to organize. We can't wait for somebody on high to do it.
But there was a time when you could take the pastor's word and it'd be...
That's not right.
It would be good as gold.
You were romanticizing history. You know that's not right. I could bring my dad out here because he's visiting from Detroit, and he could tell you about jackleg preachers going back to the 50s.
Well, we got a bunch of jackleg preachers today. We have ATMs in the church.
Yes, that's a new
Professor, we have ATMs in the church.
Yeah, that's a new thing. Yes, that's a new thing.
Isn't something fundamentally wrong with that?
There's something fundamentally wrong with that. You're absolutely right. That is a new thing. But preachers getting over on their constituents or on their flock or congregation, that's not new. That's not new at all.
But the dollar amount has increased. In a few years, the African American annual disposable income will be $1 trillion, equal to the 16th largest nation on earth.
Yes, and one of the things we can do is there's a way to take that model, which I think is bankrupt, right? I think it's bankrupt to have, literally bankrupt in some cases, to have ATM in churches. But there's a way to take that model and to do something else with it, to create like local markets that are kind of like this, but where black people are dealing with goods on a neighborhood level. They're selling to each other, they're buying from each other. In some cases, they're bartering with each other. That's the type of thing. That's the type of next step that we have to take, where we can flip the models that already exist, some of the bankrupt models that already exist, we can flip them and make them work for us. That's what our challenge is.
Any final thoughts on African American progress, on elections, on politics? Professor Lester Spence.
What we have to do is we have to move from elections to understanding that politics is about messaging and about governance, right? So there's not no every 4 year you turn out to vote, every 2 years we turn out to vote. Politics is something that we live. That's what we have to remember.
Yeah. How can people get in touch with you?
My website is lesterspence.com. My Twitter is Lester Spence. My phone number is, not telling you that.
Your one and only. And thank your family for your patience, for their patience.
Thanks, man. It's good to see you.
Yes, sir. Keep watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.